So this lesson is focused on the different types of abusers to help you have a better understanding of some of the subtle differences between them. And this way we can really build up a strategy that is targeted for the particular type, because the differences are what move their psychology and the weaknesses that we're going to look at. And these can be for male or female abusers. So in your workbook, you'll see that there's a list of behaviours that most abusers exhibit. I recommend going through, just ticking through them. It's an opportunity to reflect upon the relationship, which might be sad, might bring some anger up. Just be in a safe space when you do this. Ground yourself if you need to. Take a break. Whatever works for you to deal with those emotions. But I just want to, for those of you that are new to this, I thought I'd give you a definition of a couple of them. So the first one is gaslighting. So gaslighting is crazy making. It's saying one thing, then completely denying it and making you sound crazy or paranoid. And it's a trick that they use to gain control over you, to destroy your cognitive function, your memory, and it's proper psychological abuse at its worst. The next one is projection, and this is where they do something and blame you for it. And that's quite common, and it's a really good way of finding out what they've been doing, actually, because they will reveal themselves, but they'll say that you're doing it. The other ones are fairly self-explanatory. If not, just Google. There'll be loads of information, but they are pretty self-explanatory. So what they'll try and do within the court process is exert themselves into the role of either the hero or the victim. Obviously, that leaves you with that vacant role of being the abuser. And we're going to look at that more in the self-assessment bit, but I want you to know that that is the role that they have assigned for you. These terms aren't admissible in court, and I really would avoid using any labels such as narcissist or alienation, for example, at the start. Once you've maybe got a diagnosis or someone else a professional mentions it to you, absolutely, you can use it then. But your job is to plant the seeds for them to join the dots. So the reason that we are looking at the different types of abusers is to help you to understand and predict their behaviours. But also, and perhaps more importantly, it's for you to understand your experience and know that you weren't to blame. The fact that we can write and be able to sort of diagnose and describe their behaviour so well is because they are predictable. It didn't matter what you had done. The result would have ended the same because it's who they are. So once the relationship ended, you might have noticed that your ex perhaps started to do something called hoovering, which is trying to pull you back in. They might have made promises of being different, changing, doing whatever it takes, talk about how much they love you, how great things were when you were together or when something specific was happening. And part of you will be tempted because that's the person you've been chasing for such a long time. That's what's kept you in the relationship. That's what's kept you trauma bonded to this person, is when am I going to see this person again? And there they are in front of you telling you everything that you want to hear. And I've worked with lots of people who've said, will I regret it if I don't go back? My advice is listen carefully to what they're saying, because you will start to notice that the words aren't quite as good as they sound. And also look for the action that backs it up. What they tend to do is be quite passive aggressive, in as much as they'll say things like, if only that hadn't happened, and subtly blame you for that in the process. And 9 times out of 10 you have heard all of this before and they've never changed in the past. Try and see the behaviour for what it is and attempt to re-exert control over you. As I said, if it's something that you really think, oh, maybe they have changed, I'm not saying don't explore it, but explore it through a lens of either I have been here before and I have heard all of these things, and I will only believe that they've changed if I see X, Y, and Z, so that you are setting your own boundaries around that. Once they realise that you've got no intention of entering back into a relationship with them, they will then discard you completely and initiate something called an emotional cut-off. And what this means is essentially you are out. If you imagine a cult, when one party suddenly wakes up and realises, oh my God, I don't want to be part of this anymore, the cult doesn't stay friends with them. They are gone. And that's what you will experience. You are out. And as far as they're concerned, you are dirt to them. They cannot and will not recall any fond memories of your relationship, and everything is turned on you. And that can be hard to hear, because most relationships, even difficult relationships, they have some really good times in them. And even abusers, they're not all bad, but if suddenly everything is very black and white, then look back at the splitting. That's one of the signs of an abusive personality. Obviously, it's very painful for you, because even though you acknowledge who they are, you did invest a hell of a lot of time and energy into this relationship, and for you, those feelings were real, and you hoped, at least for a short period of time, that it was the real deal and you'd be together forever. Especially if you got married. Most people don't get married without thinking, this is it. I'm going to love this person forever, and they're going to love me forever, and they believe it all. And suddenly to find that has essentially been erased and you are public enemy number one, that's incredibly hurtful. You might hate them for all that they've done to you, but you should be able to express and remember some good times. After all, abusers aren't all bad. And to think they are is a cognitive distortion known as splitting. You will have had some good times with them, because they can be lovely and good fun. You wouldn't have got into a relationship if they weren't. And they do pop those in from time to time just to keep you attached to them. But having that black and white is a warning sign. The good times, yep, they were short-lived. Anger, fear and blame is their default. Happiness and kindness are usually either a ruse to get what they want, or very temporary, and sometimes that can last even only minutes. So if you do see any of that, just be on high alert. So now...